Podcast, Oh Dear Nation, Oh Dear Network, Oh Dear Limited, and all subsidiaries therein for to which. With me, as always, on the one podcast where we talk about the things that make your mother clutch her pearls and say, oh dear, are my co-hosts, Bret Raybould and Nick Whitmer.
He doesn't even seem interested when he's doing the intro anymore. Did you notice that?
Sense memory, my friend.
Yeah, you kind of look at him. He's just kind of like pouting in the chair, like, "Oh, I have to do the intro."
Yeah, it's like Jordan at the free throw line.
Yeah, exactly.
He just shuts his eyes. Why not? Just
Welcome to the Oh Dear Podcast.
What is this, game 3?
This is our first time filming, guys. So if you're listening to this, you're probably listening to the podcast version. Go check out us on YouTube, right? Check us out on YouTube.
This is now, we do officially have video. After 2 years of saying we're going to get video, we finally have video.
We finally did it. We have a also, if you want to see the cardboard cutout of O.J. Simpson that we talked about in other episodes, that is here as well. So, you know, that'll be enough incentive for you guys to move over to the video version, I'm sure, now.
Have I told this story? I don't think I've told the story of getting the cardboard cutout. We have a life-size cutout of O.J. He's our fourth co-host of the podcast. As now we have O.J. This is O.J. Fathead. I got it from Fathead. They reached out to me asking if I wanted to do a brand partnership. And for people who don't know, Fatheads make life-size cutouts of mostly athletes. And I said I would love to do a partnership. They said, great, we'll make you a custom Fathead. They thought I was just going to say myself.
Yeah.
And
naturally,
I sent him back Simpson. A photo of my favorite athlete, which is post-murder OJ.
Not football OJ, golf OJ.
No, golf OJ. The golf OJ trying to run from the past OJ. Every room he goes in, people look at him and are like, that's OJ.
Do you think anybody's favorite athlete is still O.J. Simpson?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. OJ?
There's still some guy most touchdowns ever.
Dude, there's still people who love Bill Cosby. There's nothing people get off on the
Three
idea
of them are in this room.
Yeah. of supporting the because they have the conspiracy theories and there's a whole thing that OJ didn't kill him, instead his son did, and then OJ covered it up.
Conspiracy theory.
That's also, I've heard that conspiracy theory that OJ didn't kill him, his son did. He still, if that did happen, which it almost certainly didn't, he still orchestrated the murder. People are like, he didn't do it.
Still involved.
He still led to the murder. If I paid Christian to go kill a guy, I still helped kill a guy.
Yeah.
No, what happened was OJ just was taking a walk at night, and then he happened to stumble upon his son murdering his ex-wife. Yeah. It was a complete act. He was like, what? What's happening? And then he quickly covered it up, and that's why his DNA was at the scene. And
Anyway,
that's the conspiracy. That's literally it.
That he was walking by?
Well, that he witnessed his son did it, and then he protected his son.
His son was like, Dad, you're not going to believe this.
What'd you do, crash the car?
You know that woman who you were always hitting and threatening to kill? Well, guess what? I killed her.
I love you, son.
I did this for you, Dad.
I'll take the fall. Actually, I won't take the fall.
I always think if that was true, that'd be the biggest rewrite swerve. That'd be the biggest wrestling swerve of all time, where OJ was actually the babyface the whole time. He was just a good dad who took the fall for his son.
Took the fall for his homicidal son. So that's this is him. When I sent back a photo of OJ, I didn't expect him to say sounds great. But that's effectively what they said. And then they followed it up with, hey, just so you know, you did send us a photo of OJ. Are you aware that it's OJ? And because when I had sent the photo, I saved it off Google Images. It's an attachment. When I saved it off Google Images, I think the title, the name of it, the file name, I think it was OJ. And I was like, listen, there's no chance I could have maybe passed through quality assurance if its title is an OJ. So I was like, what do I name it? I originally named it Reginald Thompson because I was like, they'll just think it's another black guy. I like a black guy who just looks like OJ. And Reginald. Who's Reginald? I don't know. It's probably his uncle or friend.
And somebody's like working at the thing, and you're like, it looks like OJ. You're racist.
That's Reginald Thomas, dude.
Reginald
what the fuck's
Thompson.
wrong with you?
Yeah. I looked him up on LinkedIn.
Isn't that a comedian? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a comic. Reg Thompson.
Gosh. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
So shout out to Reg.
Shout out to Reg. He was my original file name, and then I was like, no, because I felt like that's racist of me. I just named him a generic black guy name. That's offensive. I was like, I don't want to do that. So then I went with like golfing 42. So that maybe they'll be like, oh, these are just his golfing photos. And his 40-second golfing photo. They said works, and then they wrote, but just so you're aware, we want the video you make with OJ to be appropriate for all ages. So just, keep that in mind, be appropriate for all ages. And I wrote back, couldn't agree more. For what it's worth, Mr. Simpson was found innocent in a court of law in front of a jury of his own peers. And then they go, basically they were like, good point. We got it shipping today. So got it about 2 weeks ago. And I've hid it in my roommate's room. That has very much scared him for 2 reasons. 1, it's a person in your room. 2, it is OJ. And I think my favorite touch is, boom, he's also...
He's still got the glove.
He's got the glove.
Only one, though.
Only one glove. And he's going to do the whole...
Yeah, I know.
Thing.
This is like a telephoto lens from a paparazzi. And I bet he was still mugging for him like, it fits!
So that's the OJ Fathead story. And so he's a proud 4th co-host of our podcast.
Speaking of black guy names, real quick.
Not offensive for Christian to say with that. That's the less offensive segue from you.
If you're watching on video, you know why it's not offensive for me to say that. If you're listening to audio, you're like, why is this white guy?
But as you were saying.
But as I was saying, is like young comics, one thing that bothers me is like when younger comics like have a black guy joke. Or like, well, like a black guy couldn't get away with this or whatever, something. They'll always go with like, Jamal, do you want to speak up in class? Like that'll be the punchline. It'll always be like Jamal or like a too black of a name, like Quavarius or something. But like anytime, like I've met more black Dereks in my life than I've ever met any Jamals.
That's actually true. I'm like, I know the stereotype is Jamal is the stereotypical name you go with.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I've never met a Jamal.
Yeah. I met some Jamals. They're out there. And
they exist.
There's enough to be like, okay, it's kind of a thing. But like, I met Derek.
I think the point is that there's no white Jamals.
Right, exactly.
So like, if you meet a white guy named Jamal, you're like, oh, that's interesting.
I think we were talking about this one time where we were like Madden or something where the names are like, if it's the name maker, like the video game will create a player. Yeah. So if you just let it create a name,
when you play in a franchise, like the next year's draft of new talent that comes in is all computer generated people because they can't use college athletes' real names and likeness and stuff. Yeah. So like the weirdest names are, it's like you can tell it's just a bunch of white kids making these names. Yeah. It's like Jamal Abernathy. And you're like,
or John Tavius.
Yeah, John Tavius.
John Tavius Vanderbilt.
Exactly.
That's like it's the whitest name.
Like is John Tavius? Really? Where'd that one come from?
Yeah, but knowing those games, they also do sneaky shit where they'll have even though it's football, they'd have a character that's like Zion Williamson, and you're like, oh, you stole that, you motherfuckers. I know you took his name. John Tavius Abernathy. Wait, what's the farthest you've gotten in a Madden? When you play Madden, do you just make it yourself? When you create a player, do you create Nick Whitmer and you make him be the quarterback?
And then you Madden.
You have a season where you have a historic season?
I've been playing Madden since I was like 13, so I've pretty much done it all. Like I've done the creative player version. Now there's the new one where you create a player and then like you start at high school and you go to college, then you go to the pros, and then like it's this whole stupid.
I like the idea of like making you like have like a story in college where like your grades aren't good. you're on the fence about the eligibility.
We were talking about like
Me Too charge.
I was talking about this with somebody the other day. It's like it'd be funny how if it was a realistic like RPG football game, and you're like, well, you're kind of good. You can go to Division 3 and then work at your uncle's car wash. Like, what, you know, like, what are you gonna do? I mean, like you just like you're playing Madden, but you're just working at a used car sales, and you're like, dude, I tore my ACL. I'm out of the league, dude.
I have a point, but I have to go to another thing to make this point. In WWE 2K, in the wrestling, so in the wrestling video game, there's a mode where you can do a promo. There's like a promo mini game. So basically, what it is like when you talk shit in the ring. Like you go in the ring, and go like, I'm gonna beat your ass, Triple H or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it gives you like, it's a little promo mini game. So you get in the ring and it gives you 4 options of things to say. Like, I'm out here because I'm a good guy. I hate you fans. And there's like a timer, and you basically like make your choice, and then it gives you another choice. And based off like how well the choices connect throughout like a minute long thing, is like you get graded your score. You get like a high score.
Right, because you want basically they're like be consistent.
Exactly,
with your
be consistent.
character.
So if you go like, hey, I love you fans, and the next line is like, you suck. Philly sucks. Like you get a low score. So that being said, it'd be funny if they had that for Madden for your Hall of Fame speech, where you have to do that. It's like, I just love this game, and there's like an option like N-word, or you just like tank it. Say the N-word.
Yeah,
Whoops.
That's the custom one you write in, though.
You mod it. But you were gonna say something.
Oh, that's so fucking funny. I wanted to ask, you know, because when you do the Madden creative, I've been a kid. I've done creative player and done the story on a different video games, you know, FIFA or Madden. Does anyone ever just like make themselves an O lineman? Like everyone always is like a journeyman O lineman. Like, I had like 7 seasons. It's a hell of an impressive career.
Yeah,
I started 2 seasons.
When I was smart with my money, I invested early on. You know,
and like I do okay. I don't really have to work anymore.
Yeah.
Now I just like kind of put around the house with my wife.
An in-ground pool. We got a modest sized house. We're good. We got generational money.
Yeah. And money is just about getting time. So I just have time with my family.
Yeah. I do a local car commercial every once in a while. Like they have me over there, do events, sign autographs. I mean, it's pretty good.
It is. Those are fun. I remember when I was a kid and I made one. I remember naming it after me, but I made him black. I was like in 6th grade, and I was like, I made black Bret Raybould. But I didn't think it was like funny. I was like, let's just make him look cooler. Like I wasn't trying to be a troll.
Yeah.
But that career never.
Well, who would you be trolling for? You're the only one playing the game.
That's
like,
true.
It's in your house.
Look.
Yeah, check this out.
I remember me and some friends created ourselves on an NBA game, and there's only like 8 players in an NBA game who play during a game, and we're all white guys. So we're like, if you watch that, you're like, they created a whole white team. What's that about? But really, it was just me and my friends.
It is so funny, like when you go back to old games with like that creative mode kind of feature, even like The Sims back in the day, it was like white, kind of Asian, and black, like deep, dark Africa black. Like there was no like middle ground.
That's what I found funny on this. So the latest creator player version, you get to choose what your voice sounds like because there's cutaway scenes where your character speaks. And like in every other game, there's just this generic white voice. And it's like the main
Dave Chappelle's
voice.
white voice of, hello, how are you?
Yeah. But this year's game, there's literally 3 voices to choose from. And I keep listening and I'm like, every single one of them is a black dude. So like I'm a white player, so I just have this like accent and like I'm in a cutaway scene going, yeah, man, it was fun. And I'm like, what is like this is so fucking dumb.
It's the whitest guy ever, and he's like, she. Well, that guy. He plays at BYU. Motherfucker out here talking about the BYU kicker. Oh man, gents, what are topics we should talk about today? Is there anything? on the docket. We could talk about that Ohtani. Everyone's talking about him. Baseball.
I don't know the story.
Oh, you didn't hear us talking about this pre-show. Well, there is like there's like outrage story about what's his name? What is it? Ohtani? First name?
Yeah.
What's his first name?
I don't know. It's
Okay,
called Ohtani.
yeah. Well, I believe he's a player from Japan, so I'm not going to take a random crack at his first name
Okay,
when I don't
yeah.
even know the context of it.
Is there controversy?
Yes.
I
there's-
haven't heard any controversy.
Stephen A. Smith said.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even realize that was controversy. That's just dumb.
Oh yeah, Stephen A. Smith said he was like some version of, well, this guy, you see, if he spoke English, he'd be more marketable. He's got a translator. None of us know what the hell he's even saying.
Yeah.
And basically what Stephen A. Smith is his like the understandable point is you are more marketable in America if you speak English.
Sure, yeah.
That is just true.
Yeah.
But there was like a vaguely xenophobic bend to
Right.
none of us know what the hell he's even saying. It's like, well, he just speaks a different language,
Yeah.
dude. He's not.
Yeah.
He's not doing baby.
But it's like the guy is. So if you took Phil Christian in, he's a hitter. He's like one of the best. He is leading the league in home runs, but he's also a pitcher.
Yeah.
So like every 5 days he pitches, and then when he's not pitching, he plays like DH, and he's crushing it. Like
Yeah.
And like every other this hasn't happened in like 100 years in baseball where everybody used to pitch and hit and take turns.
Yeah.
So like nowadays you have specialized positions where like you want to be a pitcher, you start putting on pitch counts when you're 11 years old, and then like you never develop hitting because you're a pitcher. So every pitcher, there's very few pitchers that are good at hitting. Like there are literally maybe 3 or 4 in the league that can do it consistently. So this guy comes from Japan, and like this is his like 5th or 6th year too, I think. So he's been around, but this is when he's finally starting to like come of age as a player. And he's literally leading the league in home runs, and he was like leading the league in strikeouts at one point. Like he's a generational player. It's amazing.
Okay.
But yeah, he doesn't speak English.
Okay.
So like when you're baseball and like you kind of have a marketing problem because the only people who watch baseball are old, stodgy white dudes.
Yeah.
And you want to get new, younger fans to watch. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like if the guy could do a bunch of Wheaties commercials and like do, you know what I mean, and like be seen a lot, it would help. It would help him, and it would help baseball. And the fact that he doesn't speak English, and maybe he's learning, who knows?
But like
I don't think it should be a criticism of him that he has to speak English, but I do get his point about saying that this is the best player in baseball, but he's not marketable because you can't throw him in every other commercial. Like you kind of want someone like that as the face of baseball, but if the guy literally doesn't speak the language, you can't put him as the face of baseball in the sense of the marketing aspect of it.
I guess. I mean, you could just do Wheaties commercial with subtitles. And like, I don't think it'd be funnier. Like, it'd be.
But
charming.
baseball's not trying to be funny. They're not trying to do a bit. They're not like, dude, I got this hilarious one. Let's do the Austin Powers subtitle thing.
Things are changing in that way. Like BTS is like the biggest group in the world, and like I don't know how many of those. I think 1 or 2 of them speak English well. It's like nobody cares anymore.
I've been tweeting at him to speak English.
They're enormous.
I know they're enormous, but my point is like
to young people,
to 14-year-old girls,
right?
So like.
But you just said you're trying to get younger people into baseball.
I think.
But so like you have to get 14-year-old girls who want to fuck the Asian guy.
Yeah.
So like, but that's not the market of baseball. They're not like
the market is whoever the hell
baby.
you can get. I think the Angels they have Ohtani, and I think they should sign also BTS. And like a lot of people would tune in to watch. This is how desperate baseball is becoming. Within the next 1 month, one of the Paul brothers will be signed to a team.
Oh my God!
Jake and/or Logan Paul will probably be signed to a team or do a fight against Bud Selig or who's still in baseball.
I don't know. What's his name's dead.
Wait, you're the
Mike
oldest,
Trout.
stodgiest white guy.
yeah. Mike Trout in baseball.
Mike Trout. But
appealing to the older generation that watches baseball, I don't know. I guess not, but you can't.
Well, it's not even appealing to the older generation, but it is getting new young fans excited about baseball.
Right.
And like they have to not be ironic fans who want to who like it because they're 14-year-old girls who want to have sex with a guy because as soon as they turn 18, it's like, oh, it's over. Like BTS won't be here in 8 years.
Yeah.
No one will give a fuck about BTS.
I don't think
in
that's
8
true.
years.
I think they're too big to never not be
But
relevant.
dude, NSYNC eventually, no one gave a fuck.
Yeah, but this is
Like one of them will go and be like the Justin Timberlake of it, and then the rest of them will be nobodies in Korea
not nobody
with a lot of money and a pool and
Not-
everything. Good for them. I'm not saying,
Not
but I'm saying
nobodies.
like we've seen this. What they do is not sustainable. It's not a boy band is a 5-6 year thing every time. It's never not been that.
Yeah.
The only one, I mean, I can't even think of one. Boys to Men might have had the longest run of any of them, and that wasn't a long run.
Well, because they're men now. They became men.
That's what I
eventually.
mean. You can't be called Boys to Men when you're 40.
They're men. It's just two men.
They should just be called men, like the Chicks, the Dixie
Oh
Chicks.
yeah.
Oh, is that what they are now? Oh,
just
yeah,
called the
that's right.
Chicks.
The
They
Chicks.
dropped the Dixie because it's.
I wish somebody would just come out and be like, "Look, we're not into Southern shit. We're not into racism, but it's just brand. We're already branded this.
We got an
We've branded this
LLC.
for 20 years. Like,
Yeah, we have an LLC.
fucking get over it.
It's okay. Yeah, I know. And Dixie, what is Dixie officially? It's not
I don't even
as
know.
it's not as like.
That's a good
It's not like
question.
they're called the Confederate Gals.
Yeah.
Like I could understand if they were called
Dixie
like.
chicks.
Hey, I thought so.
you know.
Dixie is just a nickname for the Southern states.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it isn't officially
Yeah.
Dixie in and
But
of
if they were the
itself.
Southern girls, would anybody care? Or the Southern chicks?
Dixie is more famous for Dixie Chicks than it is for Southern states at this point.
Or Dixie Cups?
yeah, Dixie Cups.
Yeah,
Is that the thing that we have to change?
Yeah, I love that
here?
Dixie Cups is like, we're not changing. Like, fuck off.
we're just the Cups. And then eventually one of their board members is like, drop the. It's cleaner. I mean the Dixie Chicks are in my head. They're I've said before, but they are the only people because they lost their career. Remember in the early 2000s when
They got canceled.
they got before canceling was
Yeah.
a thing. Before cancel,
They got canceled when you got canceled by the right.
yeah, where you could get that is what happened. They
Yeah.
lost their career because
God,
the
they-
right turned on them,
Yeah, and then the left turned on him after that.
and then the left has turned on them.
Well, because the Dixie thing.
Oh.
Oh,
It's
and
like
then they
Lady
dropped.
Antebellum. Are they just the lady now?
Yeah.
Because I know they took away Antebellum.
But they remember there were. I've long said there were only two like people who because they said the Iraq War was a bad idea,
Yeah.
and America was like,
Fuck you.
fucking sluts.
Yeah.
That's
was
one of
so
our favorite
contentious.
things. The early 2000s of America, you were it was publicly okay to just call a woman a
slut,
whore
yeah.
on network news. Keith
Yeah.
Olbermann was like 3 skanks today. And all of America was like, this is
Yeah.
the news. What 3 skanks do?
Well, someone was talking about like the whole Britney Spears thing, and there's like they showed all like the monologue jokes.
Yeah.
And apparently in one of them, Jay Leno just the punchline was, "She's a slut."
Yeah.
Now I
know.
haven't seen this, but I mean that's what I've heard, and I'm just like, yeah. Things change,
Dude.
Like, why do we look back at 2002 when like Limp Bizkit was the
Bro.
biggest rock band and go, what's wrong with people? It's
Dude.
like, dude, that's the time. Like, you
Just-
people are slaves of the moment. Like,
I don't know if there has been, but just wait till the Monica Lewinsky documentary comes out.
Ah,
They'll have
dude.
30 minutes of just she sucks cock jokes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Just the montage of like she sucks it. By the way, about Britney Spears, did you see like now that she's like, I guess off of her father's conservatorship, she like
Oh,
is
damn,
tweeting
that's too
and
bad.
she's Instagramming and tweeting like these long posts with run-on sentences, no periods, throwing shade at like her sister and stuff. And I was like, I have a feeling we're gonna realize that she was not free for a reason. Like
Dude.
like maybe she shouldn't have been free.
Britney Spears truther over
I know.
here. People, and dude, here's the thing. I say all this knowing I know nothing about the Britney Spears
I know
stuff,
nothing either. Yes.
but I will say that, I have 2 sisters. Both my sisters are like professional working doctors, very successful, very smart. I can't help but think from my own perspective, wouldn't it be better if my dad had conservatorship over them? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think it would be smart if my dad can manage their finances and, like, when are they allowed to go out? And I think if I asked my sisters, they'd probably be in favor of it because they're.
Yeah, they don't want control of the IUD that they.
Yeah.
That is the most insane part of that whole thing, which is like we don't want her getting knocked up anymore.
It goes back to
they put
old,
an IUD in her.
Dude,
that is so criminal.
They put an IUD and they were like, you can't.
It's like old Hollywood producers controlling actresses. It's
right.
The same,
it's exactly right.
You're not getting knocked up. Fucking.
There was one thing though on the documentary that they did with her. It was I forgot who did it, Hulu, but there was at one point where they were like. Some judge, they gave him like a file, and it was during the conservatorship trial, and they were like, they gave him a file, he looked at it, and nobody else got to see it except the judge, and he was like, all right, she needs to be under conservatorship. And the lawyer was like, I don't know what he saw in that file, but he felt that it was that she should have been in it.
I wonder what it was.
I'm like, because that was like the glaring thing about the documentary where they're like, Britney Spears is like under captivity and we need to rescue her. And this one judge who held the whole thing in his hands was like, yeah, I have some info here that maybe
he has the Area 51.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
I got the presidential secrets that like, if only you knew, but you're not allowed to know. If you knew what I know.
Yeah.
It is one of those things where like she went crazy. Like she probably is, off a rocker. I mean, being the biggest celebrity in America / one of them in the world for 2.5 decades probably alters your sanity, especially, I think America has like us as people and also the media has cleaned up its act on like, okay, celebrities aren't zoo animals and athletes. They're not like zoo animals that like, we can just like throw peanuts at.
We're slightly better.
We're slightly better. In some ways, in some ways we're worse. But in other ways, I think we are better. But like, if she was truly kind of crazy now, probably it's like because she hasn't had any control of her life. Yeah. Do you think you would become if she literally? I don't know. She's probably your sanity is going to be a little toppled if
since
you
like 16.
Since 16.
Like
and just to be aware that, half of America is jerking off to you, that's got to do something to your sanity.
I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of unintended consequences, and like, it's like I have a friend of mine who lives in Montana, right? And she says that all the liberals from California will visit Montana. And they'll see the practices that people do in Montana. One of them was brush fires to prevent forest fires, like big wildfires. They would do calculated brush fires to burn off stuff to mitigate the risk of. And then the other ones would hunt the hell out of predatory animals like wolves and grizzly bears, because if those populations get out of hand, like then people are in danger. And all these liberals came in like the mid 2000s, like they're hurting those poor bears,
right? Yeah.
And then they just like got these laws passed. We're not allowed to kill, and now bears eat people all the time. And it's these liberal people who never are there.
Yes.
It's like you come from your fucking the Hollywood Hills, and then now you're like basically making legislation in a state that you spend 3 weeks at most a year. And like all the people who live there are the ones. So it's like the unintended consequences of us just looking at Britney Spears' life from what we see it and what we know it. Yeah. And like she should be free, and then she goes free. And imagine like if she goes fucking nuts. Like what if she shaves her heads and drowns her kids and goes? Not saying that would happen. I'm just saying that like the amount of conviction people have when they don't have all the information astounds me. It astounds me how like people are like, this is 100% the truth when you have only maybe 15% of the information.
I might have said this before, but it reminds me, that's what I think about whenever my wife does this all the time. I'll be in the living room like working, and she's in her room, room and whatever. She'll come out of her room, come into the living room where I am comfortable. And she goes, oh, it's cold in here, and turns off the AC, walks back into her room, and closes the door. And it's like, there's a lot of people that just want to control the temperature for a room they're not in. Like,
oh, man.
It's just insane. I'm like, why? What do you care?
But that is liberals in a nutshell. A lot of the discordance in America is liberals projecting what it should be like. I guess conservatives do it too. It's just people wanting to legislate how others live their lives you know, I know we make fun of libertarianism, but the ideology of don't legislate people's lives if it doesn't affect you is generally a good one.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, that is generally the right point of view, I think, is just don't project your morality onto others. Don't project, you know, like there are obviously universal ethics, but
I also hate the tone of which they do it, in which they do it. Like when the Britney stuff started coming out, people would tweet it like, "Yeah, guys," almost like they've been aware of this for years, and now that everybody else is talking about it, they kind of go like, "Guys, come on!" Like I've been saying this for like the attitude. It's like, dude, you had no idea about this until 3 minutes ago, like the rest of us. But now you like act like you have like this greater wisdom about everything, and like it's just internet experts. It's
that
keyboard
lame.
warriors.
Like I've been hanging out in the corner smoking cigarettes this whole time, telling you. Like, no, you haven't.
No,
Shut
you
up.
haven't, dude.
Then say something earlier.
quit acting like you're a cool beatnik.
I know, really. Yeah, guys. Yeah, I hate that attitude.
But I mean, that's like that is what the internet is in a nutshell. Is and even podcasting is all right. We're going to talk about this, even though none of us really know what's going on.
Well, time will tell, because as soon as she gets like,
God.
if she gets released from her conservativeship, she's going to be on Joe Rogan and every podcast.
That's so accurate.
And she's
going to be on Oh Dear.
Yeah. Britney, you got an open forum. No, what's that podcast? The Free Britney podcast or whatever it is.
She'll do that one.
That started this whole thing. She'll go on there and then just like probably just like spew like stream of consciousness vomit for like a whole hour, and then people are gonna be like, "Oh shit."
She's gonna pull a Kanye, where
I
it's
know,
like,
yep.
there is a segment of the population that, no matter what, does idolize Kanye. I mean, and she's gonna disappoint folks by having opinions that aren't necessarily in line with what they want it to be.
Oh my god, could you imagine if she comes out and just is like super Trump?
Oh my god. First interview, fucking red hat. And then watch all of these people go, no!
My dad had it in my contract where I wasn't allowed to support any political parties, but now that I'm free, boom, puts it on.
I'm on the ticket
comes in with a gun.
She is from like Louisiana.
Yeah, I know.
It's something like that. It's not impossible.
The only show she does is Alex Jones.
Yeah. Let's talk about these UFO videos. I've been watching them.
She is going to disappoint folks.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, what if she had the same politics as Caitlyn Jenner?
Oh my God.
And you just watch, like, it's just funny because everyone wants to divide people in two camps, good liberals and then bad people.
Yeah.
And if the good liberals find out that she's not exactly what they want, it'll just be the best.
It would be funny if she was like normal in every way, except she just didn't want trans athletes to be competing with non.
It will.
That was like her only.
And that was like her main talking
point.
Brittany, you want to talk about what was that like? I just don't think they should be allowed to compete.
Yeah, she's like, Brittany, so what was it like in 2000 VMAs when you first did Oops, I Did It Again? I mean, it was fine. But anyway, we got to get back to the Olympics. The Olympics are coming up, and there's men competing with women.
There's a high school in Connecticut.
There's a high school. It's like doesn't affect anyone.
That's the best. There's a high school in Connecticut.
Oh, man. The trans athletes really is one where you're like, anything below high school, who gives a shit? And part of you as a person is like, listen, this is so tense for some people.
Yeah.
You guys just figure it out.
Yeah.
You guys just figure it out.
Right.
I don't want people to be mean to me.
Right, exactly.
Well, if they're already separating it by gender, we already do that. We already have men's and women's sports. We already agree to separate it. Why can't we have trans sports? Why is that such a segregation? Everybody's like, oh, they have their own sports. So do men and women have their own sports.
Right.
Like, why is it, if we're already separated by gender, why can't we do it one more time and just put trans athletes in their own little conference? Why is that a big deal?
I kind of like the idea of every segment of identity having its own sport.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All right. Welcome to gay soccer, or as we also call it, soccer.
That's pro-choice conservative tennis. They're conservative, but they also believe in abortion. And they play tennis.
Vegan luge.
Yeah.
Vegan luge. No, I have heard the take. Did we talk about it? Some guy had a take. I heard at just talking with some folks in Brooklyn, and his take was, why do we even separate sports based off gender? Why? Like, he was trying to be so progressive. He's like, why don't we just have the sport be the sport?
I wish we could live in this world where we can just take people who say shit like that and just act it out in a simulation in front of them and be like, this is why you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like these people who have these like people who you meet who are like, oh, I'm a communist. You're like, dude, the thing that you say is the best thing will never ever be acted out.
Yeah.
So you just have this cop out. You're like, nothing you say will ever go into action. So there's no accountability on your end for your idea to be good because it'll never happen.
See, I want what you want, but not a simulation. I want, okay, you're president now. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's see. Watch what'll happen.
Congratulations. You just cut every woman from athletics. Is that what you wanted? You just eliminated
Let's
every
merge
woman.
the WNBA and the NBA and let's see how many women make the league.
I mean, that point makes sense when you go like Academy Awards. It makes no sense if there's a best actor and best actress.
That doesn't make any sense.
I agree with that. Those
but
are
like
artistic.
sports, there's a difference.
Yeah, I can see sports is wild. Like, you have to exist on the plane of reality on some level. And if, as much as liberals act like they know about science, the dumb liberals, I should say, don't know. They're like in denial of science when it doesn't fit in with their just their worldview. Like, it's like, okay, like to be clear, I think like most smart, like even just feminists agree there are biological differences between men and women.
Yeah.
But the ones that don't, you're like, do you look at the world? Like, just every man is on average bigger than women. Like, it's the world.
Yeah, I have no dog in this fight just because I don't watch or care about sports. So I'm like, yeah, anybody who wants to play can play.
What about Christian, a trans wrestler?
They already have that.
Would you go?
What? She was. They have one in AEW. She's trans.
Well, when
and she won the women's championship, and then not Billy Gunn, Val Venus, the porn star wrestler, went on Twitter. Was like, "This is an outrage."
But she won because it was in the script. Like, that's the thing. Right. People like. They wrote her to win on purpose, like that. So, like, trans people can be in anything when it's not real.
Right.
Like, they could be in movies.
There can be a trans woman Santa Claus. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, I don't care about intergender wrestling matches. It's the same thing. I'm like, they should have those. It'd be fun.
Intergender.
Yeah, they don't.
That
do
actually will be fun.
It's fun. Some places do. The indie ones do, but WWE is not going to do it.
Because it looks
like because they get too much flack for.
Men
domestic
hitting
abuse.
women in domestic. Yeah.
They don't want to see that.
Well, then just have the woman win. I know it's okay.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Like, the man is. It's very hard if they did do intergender fighting. It's probably somewhat hard. It is harder to make the man not just be the heel.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
You got to lean into it though.
You either have to lean in hardcore, or like. Because the wrestler is obviously fake, but is already hitting a woman, which there, unlikable. What thing would the female wrestler have to say to make her certainly a heel and there to be no guilt or...
Here's the thing. Here's what you do. And you get the male guy. The female wrestler goes, I can beat up any man ever. I'll take on anybody. And the guy is like the champion. He's like, listen, you're great. I think you're awesome, but I'm not going to fight you. And she's like, what, you're a pussy? You're not going to fight me? And she slaps him around for like weeks. To the point where you're like, all right, now I got to hit you. Now I got to beat you in a wrestling match.
All right, I have an alternate narrative potentially for her. So there are two wrestlers, one woman and one male wrestler are they're like husband and wife. And the wife wrestler cooks the meatloaf, but it's undercooked.
It could be cathartic, right?
Yeah.
You're living out this thing. Like, imagine if they did Chris Benoit versus his family like a couple years before. Like, maybe they would have settled their differences, you know?
I'm trying to think of something. The mindset was so different back then. Oh, but one thing, with my hypothetical situation, she would have to like, the thing that would make her the biggest heel would be like, they would do this back and forth for weeks and weeks. And once he finally like lays hands on her, she goes, oh, I can't believe you hit me. I'm a woman. Then everybody would be like, boo, fuck you.
That'd be a really funny. She just keeps hitting him, and then as soon as he hits back, it's like, ah!
Yeah, that would be the move. But it's so funny because back in the day, they would like the thing that would get the most heat from women. Like any woman that didn't want to strip was like a bitch. Like
in the Attitude Era.
In like the late '90s, like there would be like one who's like, "Woo, I want to strip," and then the other one's like, "I'm not doing this. This is degrading." And they're like, "You slut." It was so backwards, and even back then I knew it was backwards, but it was so backwards it was funny.
Yeah, well, to you.
Yeah.
But that's because you're in a rarefied era of smart wrestling fans.
Well, I don't know about smart.
I mean, you could argue you're inherently stupid by watching it as a grown
true.
man.
That's true.
But, God, I miss the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
I miss the Attitude Era.
I don't know.
That whole time period was so cringy and embarrassing.
There's
like not just wrestling, but just like
in life.
the whole country.
Yeah.
We've talked about it so many. We were actually talking about that documentary that's coming
see
out.
This. That's exactly what I want to bring up.
Yeah. The
99 Woodstock.
99 Woodstock. Right.
It's so brilliant. I want to say it because it encapsulates 99 Woodstock. For people that don't know, 99 Woodstock. They tried to do Woodstock a couple times.
I think wasn't Woodstock 1969, so this was
the
like
original one was 69.
Yeah, so this was 99.
Yeah, I think there was another one in the 70s or 80s or something.
Right.
I don't know. And then there was one in 1999.
Has Woodstock only happened? It's not a yearly thing.
No.
So there's only been like a few isolated Woodstocks.
Right.
Obviously, the historic one that had like what, Hendrix or some shit.
Hendrix,
Right.
Bob Dylan, and whatever.
In 1969,
I think
that's
so.
when Hendrix existed.
Yeah.
No.
So
That was
the original
later.
one was like a fucking metaphor for peace, love, and understanding. And all the musicians got together and just everybody was doing drugs and just having sex. And
Fucking.
yeah, it was the 60s, and that was the epitome of like what that was. 1999, they were like, all right, let's do the same thing, but this time, who are the biggest bands out right now? Korn. Limp Bizkit,
Damage.
yeah, Tool.
But it was like this Attitude Era. Like I was just listening to they were talking about it on they were doing the Fight Club rewatchable.
Yeah.
And they're talking about Fight Club and like everything leading up to Fight Club. And Edward Norton talked about that movie. He said the movie is about the first generation that grew up on television who was told that if they bought certain products that their life would be amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like when everybody found out that was bullshit. And a perfect example that when Edward Norton was writing that movie with those guys, they were coming up with stuff. And one of the examples they come up with was in the late 90s, they brought back the Volkswagen Beetle, the Bug.
Yeah.
And that was like the symbol of like the 60s and hippie culture.
Yeah.
And now like they brought it back in the most sanitized soccer mom.
Yeah.
Listen to Britney Spears and it was just such a symbol for like
and that's why they hit it with
it was just all these white dudes who were angry and felt disenfranchised. And they're at this concert, and then they just start burning shit and like rioting and fighting.
Limp Bizkit did the song "Break Stuff," and
Right.
guess what?
They broke
stuff.
shit.
Yeah.
Wow, talk about a glow up for VW.
Yeah.
Because it was so at one point it was the symbol for like free love and respect.
Yeah.
Not but 25 years earlier, it was the official car of Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
Oh, Volkswagen?
Yes.
Yeah.
They were like
probably, yeah.
They like
I thought that was Ford though.
I mean, it was probably all of them because companies exist to make money, not have social causes.
Ford had
They
a
don't
plant.
care.
Ford had a plant in Germany where they made vehicles for Germany in the World War II, and the United States bombed it. And then in the 70s, Ford sued the United States government and won. They won.
That's amazing.
Ford is like
What a
dude,
bailout.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
They had the Ford Pinto, the car that when you rear-ended it had the Flint gas tank, it would blow up. Everybody at Ford was like, you know what? If we take the car off and take it off for sale or whatever, and we fix the problem, we recall it. That's what it's called. It would cost this much money. If we just paid off grieving people, it would cost this much money. Let's let the car go. Fuck it. Like it was literally.
Oh my God.
Ford is like the most evil company that everybody's like, America, yeah. I drive a Ford. Fuck Ford,
That's
dude.
just because they've
I
had
drive a Ford too. Just saying. I drive a Lincoln though. It's the fancy Ford.
Ooh. But that's just because they've had a few ads where, you know, guys in a cowboy hat on the range and he's got a wheat straw in his mouth. And there's probably like a Martin Luther King Jr. speech underscoring it. Well,
I have a dream. The one man. But yeah, I can't wait for that documentary. I don't know when it's coming out, but in Woodstock, one of the big things was that it was like so it's basically exactly that kind of thing. So in 1999 with Fight Club, it's like everything's corporatized and all this stuff. So Woodstock Festival was this hippie festival, free love, utopia type deal. Woodstock 99 has all your favorite bands, is run, I think, by MTV. And everywhere is like bottled water costs $10.
Right.
And Subway has a stand. And Pizza Hut Express has a stand. And they got sick of like taking advantage of all these poor like new metal kids. Right. And all those kids just started breaking shit and were like, fuck this place. And like people were getting helicoptered out. It looked like fucking Saigon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like the corporate. And the thing is like you can be upset about stuff without going, because like this is like the whole like Columbine happens, and then like, and we've launched into Trump. This all kind of led up to that, and the disenfranchised white people and the rage storming of the Capitol. They're all loosely connected in this like weird feeling that people have that they're promised because they're not necessarily because they're a straight white man in America, but it's like the subtext of like, you're a straight white man in America, you should have everything you want, basically. And then all these people realize they don't have everything they want, and like they were sold a bunch of bullshit. Yeah. And then they have like the you're right. Like at the concert, they're selling bottled waters. It's like corporate logos smeared everywhere. And I get why you would be upset, but there's a limit to what the expectation is. Like after you're upset, like what you should be doing about it. Like when it comes to like shooting places or raiding capitals or doing destruction, like that's where you've gone too far. But there is something to be said that there is a lot of like good points behind, like that's like in some ways righteous anger in a lot of ways for a lot of people who feel that way.
Well, there's actually like a weird strain of Trump supporter who kind of likes him for stereotypically leftist reasons, which is to say like, oh, he deported less people than Obama. Obama founded kids in cages. You know, there's other examples of no foreign wars. Like we weren't involved in China. Yeah, tough on China. Like there are there's like it's like there's like and even like doesn't get along with the CIA. Yeah. Like, and now people who are Democrat like the CIA and FBI. You're like you're supposed to generally be the ones who are like, those are the organizations that have ruined democracy in other countries or just done so many corrupt things. And now you're like, because you know, they're anti-Trump. It's like, we love our institutions.
Yeah, I've said it 1,000 times, is like the liberal culture has become the main culture, and the counterculture is the Trump culture. Right. Like everybody loves and celebrates counterculture because in their mind it's the 1969 counterculture. Well, guess what? The counterculture is now.
But that's what's
interesting. The people raiding the Capitol.
It's like
Trump supporters.
You can tell what's counterculture and what's mainstream by what gets you in trouble. Like in showbiz. So in the early 2000s, what would get you in trouble would maybe be female nudity or a lot of cuss words and like some people parental advisory.
Right, yeah. And it's so funny because we were talking about this before, but like Michael Moore was at the Oscars, got an Oscar and said, we're fighting a fictitious war for fictitious reasons. And he got booed at the Oscars. Could you imagine that?
That's so weird.
Fucking Jane Fonda was like, get this hippie off stage. Fuck this asshole.
Fucking un-American piece of shit.
It's funny when you're like, he made a good point, but I don't like Michael Moore. I'm not like a Moore head over here.
Fuck yeah. He was the first guy who said Trump was going to win. He was like adamant about it. He was like, Trump's winning this thing. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? He's like, Trump's winning. Watch. And guess what?
Yeah.
That was the early 2000s, man.
Yeah.
Now what gets you in trouble for your movie?
Yeah.
It's very different reasons. It's like, and these are real examples. I hate when people who act like there's two sides. There's like, you know, you hate counterculture or cancel culture, or you like love that we, you know, give a voice to people who are otherwise voice. But there are excesses to it. Like now what gets you in trouble, and it's real, is like Lin-Manuel Miranda didn't have enough dark-skinned Latinos
And he's in a position where he like has to apologize.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
weirdly,
He's
because he was that guy. Because he was also being like, guys, we need more representation.
Right. Once it comes to you, you can either if you decide to, you can either apologize or go against it. But if you go against it, you're almost like admitting that all of this is bullshit.
Right.
And like, if you go against it, you're basically saying like, well, they can get canceled, but I can't because I'm me.
Yeah,
and, and he didn't get canceled. He just apologized for something
I know.
that, by the way, no one gave a fuck about. But you're right. Like, people are like, it's not cancel culture, it's consequence culture.
But you know,
but like, what are the consequences? Like I brought this up before. There was that guy on Jeopardy who put up 3 fingers because he won 3 games in a row, and they're like, it's the white power symbol, and they put his face all over Twitter, and they're like, this guy's a racist, he's a white supremacist, and then the guy had to be like, I'm not a white supremacist. And when you admit that you're not a white supremacist, your name, whether you like it or not, is now attached to whether or not you're white as supremacist. So it's like, if you ever have to say,
for your point,
if you ever have to
not
say,
a pedophile.
Yeah, exactly. If you ever have to deny something like I'm not a pedophile, it means that there's an accusation. Where did that accusation come from? I'm not a rapist. Where did that accusation come from?
Yeah.
Wow,
I'm not
you're
a
telling us a lot about yourself. You're not?
Yeah.
I think does protest too much.
Yeah, exactly. And then so like for this guy who just was this nerd who got on Jeopardy, who won the 3 games in a row, did nothing wrong, is now involved. His name will forever be next to white supremacy, even though he didn't do anything.
So to be clear, and I want to go on the record. I do want to go on the record here. You are not a pedophile,
or a rapist.
and you're not a rapist, and you're
or
not
a white supremacist.
So you're
You
not.
heard it first here. I'm not any of those things.
You're not.
Despite the accusations. They're all bullshit. They're lies.
Well, actually, the accusations don't mean as much for me. Christian, get him. Get him.
Well, you know what's funny about the Lin-Manuel Miranda thing is like people going like, well, you didn't have enough dark Latino representation in your movie, which basically means, hey, how come you didn't call me for your movie?
Yeah, but it also means like, okay, name the 6 actors that lost their job now,
Right,
and then let's replace them, and then let's. Is it okay that we like? It goes back. We said this a long time ago on a podcast. When you like deny Scarlett Johansson a role as playing a trans person, if you take away all the bullshit, narrow it down to Scarlett Johansson was denied a role because of her gender. Mm-hmm. That's what happened. Because of her gender, she was denied a role. Is that the world we want to live in? And then it goes back to this. It's like, if you decided to cut people out of that movie and put in more diverse people, you can say, hey, you know what? 6 people in that movie were cut from the movie because of their race.
Their skin color.
Is that they weren't dark enough? Color. Is that really what the world we want to live in? Like, maybe those are good actors. Like maybe musical theater, Latino musical theater maybe isn't as diverse as you want it to be in terms of the skin colors of people.
That's what it's.
But does it matter at all? The skin color?
No.
If you're a dark-skinned Latino person and you're watching that movie, do you really feel like the story they're telling is flawed and it doesn't speak to you only because
I can't picture anybody who doesn't look like me doing the things that
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I watched that movie and I wasn't like, dude, what the fuck? I can't relate to this. I'm white. Like, who cares? Who fucking cares? If you're counting the amount of screen time that people of different skin colors have on screen, you're probably a racist. Like, that's what racist people do.
That is true.
Yeah, I used to have this joke where this one dude was this dude came out and he was like, the movie Frozen has so much like is promoting the gay agenda. And I was like, dude, if you watched a 90-minute Disney movie and all you got out of it was gay subliminal messages, that's your brain telling you you're gay. That's it.
Dude, there was the new Pixar movie called Luca,
yeah,
and it's about these 2 kids who are good friends, right? And they're like best friends. And then someone writes the thing, why couldn't they be gay? This just shows that Disney is afraid. It's like, dude, why are you watching a kids movie wanting them to kiss? What is wrong with you, dude? It's a kids movie. We're not supposed to put sex in kids movies, okay? It's a kids movie. They're friends. The lesson is friendship.
Yeah,
okay?
maybe they'll be gay at some point, but like, it doesn't have to be
right
11. Now. Yeah,
there's no sex. They're 11.
What do you need this for? I don't.
Man. That is it's that thing of, said it before, we can't decide if gender's the most important thing or if it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah,
and it really comes clear when it's like, when you think about putting I worked an event for the ACLU. Yes, the ACLU. About a week and a half ago. And it was really interesting because every person to introduce themselves, like I just was like, a live editor, like switching between cameras while they did like a Zoom thing. And it was really interesting because everybody had to introduce themselves with their pronouns. And it makes sense because in terms of ACLU is at the cutting edge of elite institutions and elite progressives. But it just, there was even one white guy lawyer who's like 58 and he goes, all right, so hey everyone, I'm Nick Adams. And okay, so right now we had, and they go, oh, what are your pronouns? And you could just see him be like,
the sigh.
I'm trying to talk about actual oppression right now. Like I don't need to make it about me for if you feel that you want to say them, great. It's okay.
He should have just said,
awesome.
Guess.
But that's why I kind of think I'm trying to institute what I call racial pronouns. Yeah. Where after everything you say, you have to say what your racial pronouns are. So, I'm Bret. I'm white/bad. And those are my
white/evil. I couldn't imagine hanging out with somebody who's that exhausting in real life who would be like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Bret, what's your pronoun? Okay, cool. And then they're just talking to me and they're like, but as a white person, I can't really talk about this issue. So what do you think, Christian? I'd be like, I gotta go, man.
I don't know. It's like we're playing. It's like, I don't know. You're playing a game. It's like we're playing Yahtzee right now. It's like I don't want to play. You guys play. You guys call each other. Play whatever you want. I'm not playing.
Here's how I know me and Christian are genuine friends. I have, in the many years of knowing you, I have never once started a question that I was going to ask you with. So as a Dominican man, I've never been like, so as a Dominican man, what do you feel about
global warming?
But as a Dominican.
Well, I don't know. Fucking nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we're out of time though, guys.
I think we are actually.
I think we are. I think we got to run.
All right.
This was fun. Check us out on YouTube.
Subscribe to the channel. That's the plug.
Subscribe to the channel.
This is going to be on a new channel, right? Is that what we're doing?
I assume so. Maybe if you want to look up our individual channels at the beginning, they will be on our individual channels and also on an Oh Dear YouTube channel. Yeah, my YouTube is youtube.com/Nick Whitmer. I'm sure whatever. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll put it on my website as well. So
perfect.
All right, everybody.
ChristianDuranComedy.com for all your Christian Duran needs. King Latifah on all streaming platforms.
Buy Bretcoin at bretcoin.org. It will make your grandkids exorbitantly wealthy.
I have come to on the 23rd this Friday at 7:00 the Tiny Cupboard in Brooklyn. Woo. I'm there, and then on the following Tuesday, the 27th, I'm at the Comic Strip Live at 8:00.
Sick.
Get there, do it.
Free OJ. See you guys.
Free OJ.